Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. As you can tell in this video, I interview Bachelor in Paradise star Kat Izzo. We already did the interview, and I got to tell you, it was a blast. The people in my Patreon comment section are saying, gosh, it was actually better than I thought it would be. And it's like, well, thanks a lot. But I think there was more depth to Kat than people thought there would be. We talked a lot about the parasocial relationship between cast member and fan base, and how she quickly learned after her season of Paradise ended, she was like, oh, I'm kind of gonna get in the villain edit here. And she learned that people were turning on her and what that brought out in her as far as anxiety and how to deal with anxious attachment. There was a fascinating moment where she talked about her no contact journal. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this term, but the idea of going no contact in a world of social media where you know how people share their likes and who's following who still. When you go no contact, it is a way to take power back in an otherwise uncontrollable situation. Breakup. So I found this interview fascinating. I set the bar high for if I was going to enjoy Kat, and she delivered. I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm going to share with you guys about half of our conversation. I'm going to share you a good 10-minute chunk, so check this out. Afterwards, if you want to keep listening, I'm going to have two options for you. For free, you can check it out on this morning's Rush Hour podcast in its entirety. I didn't edit out one thing. And if you want to watch it, if you're a visual person, you can check it out later today on the Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. Please enjoy my chat with Kat Izzo. How exciting, ladies and gentlemen. My guest today on the Rush Hour podcast is from Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise. It's Kat Izzo. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you? I'm so good.
I'm doing great. How's San Diego life?
Oh, it's incredible. It's the best city I've ever lived in.
I
So,
just saw you're getting wounds. You've got
yes.
a hand injury. What's that all about?
Yeah, I was, this is why I avoid the ocean. I was not surfing, but a surfboard ended up like coming at me. So I tried to stop it. It was my boyfriend's, and it like hyperextended my fingers. So one's broken, one's sprained right now. They're healing.
I bet you're milking it too. You got to. This guy's gonna have to pay for it for life.
I know. I'm like, this is perfect. I'm going to bring this up every second I can.
You look like a professional bowler with that. That's how you.
I know, right? But it's my left hand, so I'm like, I'm not upset because it's not my injecting hand, but still, it's annoying.
Oh yeah, you can't hurt the goods.
No, that's the moneymaker.
I have so much I want to talk to you about. And I want to preface it by saying, I feel like a lot of people that interview Bachelor alumni want the tea, the what happened when this went down and this and that. I'm far more interested to Kat Izzo, the person. And I think I heard you on She's All Batch podcast, good friends of the show, discussing anxiety. So let's just jump right into it. What did you unearth about yourself from being on Bachelor or Paradise?
What did you say? What can I unearth?
What did you unearth from the experience?
A lot of things. One, that I have a control issue internally. But it really just it opened up a lot of doors to my, internal wounds that have not yet been healed, and like some core things that I needed to still make sense of and work through. It opened up my eyes to society and other types of personality and cultures and stuff like that. But that's, it's also came with a lot of beauty, which I think depending on the perspective you look at it as. But overall, it was a very like eye-opening experience. Like just seeing yourself go through things and being like, oh, that's where it comes from. It made me feel a lot more present within myself, while also making me not feel present.
Well, I totally hear you. I'm a huge anxiously attached person.
Yeah.
And I have to even Google what these things are. They say struggle to feel secure and fears of abandonment. And these are things that are natural. But when you're on a show where you're dating someone and then they get a date card to go date someone else, I mean, how do you even get through that day? Like, sure, you could drink a couple margaritas, but are you ruminating about what's my potential partner doing? I mean, it really seems like it brings out the worst in people.
It definitely can. I feel like it triggers like a lot of childhood wounds and like traumas, because those settings are very pressure cookery. You're like in it, you're thick in it. So it's like you're really acting like your child self, I've seen. Because, day-to-day stuff, yes, we have those anxious like feelings, but we're not really acting on them as intensely as I would say like I saw myself doing. But it also, like, I had a lot honestly like more anxiety after the show, going through that and like limiting and the control that I have with narratives and people's and all the things like that. But it really like you're just like acting like your child self, I would say, in
Yeah,
those
I wanted to ask you about the difference. So, the anxiety you felt on the show, scale of 1 to 10 versus the anxiety of maybe feeling mischaracterized by the audience. Like, what's the level of
moments.
pain that you felt?
Well, the on the show, I would say, it varied day to day. And it's also hard to like, I guess, put a number to it because there was so many multitude of factors that came into it. But it was always, I was in fight or flight. So about five in some capacity. Now, after the show was much worse because I was working night shift. So my, circadian was already off. And then I was in a relationship and his family and my family and stuff like that. So that was like, I couldn't even put a number to that. So it's very different feelings, but kind of like I would say like same fight or flight
Does it
reaction.
feel like, could you use the T word torture? I mean, is it like that bad? I mean, no, because honestly, I asked this
Yeah.
because everyone who watches the show, I remind them every single day, they have no idea what people go through. And they say, well, so and so said that out of their mouth. I was like, I don't care what people even say on the show. You're in a cult like situation where you're in all these heightened anxious moments, and we should not even judge anybody for any reactions whatsoever. So
Right.
yeah, how did that feel like on the day to day? Did you go from thinking you would be received a certain way to then finding out, oh, I'm
Mhm.
the bad person here? Like,
Yes.
did that come?
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Yeah, so I remember the episode we saw it on. I think I spoke on it with on She's All Bash, but he was actually at my house at the time and we're together in real life. We had a good relationship. I'm friends with everybody. I knew there was things that went down, but I could kind of tell stuff was happening. But then I really knew that the narrative was going to be going in a certain direction off of one of the episodes. And then from then on, it was just constantly like just what's going to come next, my mostly my career. It was just like, you catastrophize like these situations to the level of like whatever it feels for you in real life. Like not a lot of people know, but I do think that it's unfair like of anyone to like judge us based on what they see because they have no idea how they would act in those moments in that type of situation. Not to say all of it was like misconstrued, but there's a lot of things that are omitted to fit a certain narrative that is easier to edit, and anyone that has a mind and wants to see it will see that. But it really was just like, yeah, I went from thinking everything was gonna be fine because we're together to being like, oh, this is what people are gonna see. And then every week just kind of got like a little bit more intense.
And I'm sure you can't maybe disclose too much of how the sausage is made, but do you feel as if the audience got to know you as a person? And if not, what would you have like rather them have seen?
No, I mean, it's hard to see somebody's personality within the limited time like that. And there was so many other storylines that were happening. I think they were able to see a side of me for sure. But we know as humans, we're multifaceted. We have all these different layers to us, and I definitely come with my own. So I would say that people would just have to understand that like I'm a human being. There's going to be times where I don't act like my best self, and definitely Paradise capitalized on that and saw that. But there was also a lot of times that I was supportive and loving and kind because that's my natural like nature, and to my friends and to other people there. And if you follow me on social media, you probably see my silly, goofy side because I love to post like authenticity with that. And like, I'm just like a normal girl. Like, I'm literally just a girl. I'm a Gemini for sure. But I'm literally just like a normal, average, like girl, like just trying
Being
to
a
do
basic
my
bitch.
best.
Yeah. Look, I'm a basic bitch. I got a pumpkin spice latte and it's
Oh,
not
I
even
I
September.
lived through that. But I think a lot of people, they saw this girl that's has like, is together and everything. But I did share my childhood and parts of it that I would say like gave more understanding of maybe my like intensity and my triggers and like how protective I am over myself. Because I did share like a vulnerable moment of like actually where I grew up and how I was raised and things that I've gone through, that it's not just all sunshine and rainbows. So
I hate that audiences need to see that in order to have empathy. And it's a real it goes to show, but you're a beautiful person and people look at you going, "Oh, what does she have to complain about?" Not knowing whatever wounds you have that you
Mhm.
carry aren't masked, or they don't go away because you look good. Like these are
Yeah.
pains that you get exposed to, and you
Yeah.
get an audience that probably just doesn't really care too much to feel for you.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone like honestly, some of the takes I was like, okay, like that's good. Some of them were hilarious. Like I loved some of the comments really made me laugh. But I really just wish that people would just, remember that we're human. We're doing our best. Like it's sometimes, no matter what you show, regardless, the empathy will never be served. So you just kind of like can't expect that validation anymore. But that is all something I'm seeing in hindsight, not when like you're in the thick of it. But
It's
yeah,
tough in the thick of it. And that's when it comes down to it with anxious attachment issues or anxiety. You don't act like, not you, but anybody doesn't act like a normal version of themselves when they're in the thick of it. You're in fight or flight mode, your
right.
limbic system's flared and this and that. So
Yeah,
what do you do now to sort of put your best foot forward to combat the anxiety? Because everyone has anxiety. A lot of people
right.
don't even know they have it throughout the day. So like the
Yeah.
fact that you're aware of these issues can
Mhm.
help you avoid them, I feel like.
Yeah, so, I went on Lexapro, so we started with that. That I actually was like, I had no choice.
There's a good brand deal for you. Get that.
Well, it's an SSRI. Anything that works for you is good, right? But, like, those medications are there to help if you have to, and honestly, like, it did kind of, I don't know if it ended up helping or end moving home at the time that I was able to, like, get a grip, but I was able to I guess just like have more energy. So when I had the energy that was gifted to me at the time, like I used that time to like really understand myself. I love to intellectualize. So I intellectualize everything. I was going through a breakup at the same time. And I really just got intensely like spiritual. I already had like religious background. So I kind of like in my later adult life became more spiritual and basically just accumulated all these tools in my tool shed that I can now pull from when I were to like I am to experiencing it now and day to day. Cause like anxiety is never going to go away. It's going to be up and down, especially if that's like your default state. So now I just like really try my best every day to be mindful and present because once I'm like present and mindful, I feel like everything else falls into place. But that's something I've had to teach myself and learn and understand. Everyone's going to be on their own way, but that's like what really works for me. And like now when I'm feeling it, I know who to go to and what to read and what to understand. Yeah, therapy is always there. So I would say that the Lexapro helped me get there, but then it's also your responsibility to keep it there.
Yeah, there's almost like a mind, body, soul reaction. Like on the body level, chill out on that third cup of coffee. You might get some
Yeah,
anxiety.
right.
On the
Exactly.
mind level, yeah, that presence to know, just like take deep breaths and touch grass. I mean, it's like it's simple to say in hindsight, but you have to learn how to be proactive.
Yeah.
And if you do step in that shit, how to know how to get through it. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I mean, let the receipts of my audience be proof. I've defended you because I think you did your best, and I have boatloads of grace. I've never been on the show. I've never been a villain. I can't claim to be loved by everybody in my
Yeah.
crowd. So every time I defend someone's actions, I get looked at like, what are you talking about? And it's like, these are just normal people doing normal things. And people then say, well, the show's not as exciting as it used to be. And I'm like, well, you have people afraid to say the
Right.
wrong thing. Is there a fear that you go into it? Like, let's not get canceled today. Like, is there like, what are people talking about before the cameras roll about kind of making sure they don't become the contestant
Right.
that loses 100,000 followers because they said the wrong thing? Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed what's going on there, you can catch the full interview on the Rush Hour podcast for free. It's out right now. There's a link in the description or the comment section. You can search my name, Dave Neal, anywhere to find the podcast. But if you go to that link, it'll show you all of the different options, whether you have Spotify or Apple Podcasts on an iPhone, Droid. Maybe you're listening in your car. Any car that's newer, you can just type in the podcast app and you can listen to these episodes twice a day. You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this. I got a lot of content coming your way today. Tomorrow, I'll be doing a similar interview with the guy who directed the Baywatch documentary that's out right now on Hulu. So stick around. We got a lot of content coming your way. We'll be back right after this.